Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? Welcome back for another video update on the channel. So it's been a little while since I've done a video update on this channel. In today's video, we're going to address a couple different things. In short, I've just been busy with a bunch of different things. A lot of things have been going on. And today's video is just going to be the same as the last video I did. It's just going to be a quick little update. We'll go through our accounts. We'll show everything that's been going on. We'll give you guys an update on our portfolios. I'll give you guys our dividends. I'll give you guys an update on our finances and stuff. And there's lots of other things in terms of purchases and different things. I'm going to be updating you guys in today's video because a lot of stuff has happened over the last little while. So I think it's been about 3 months or so since I did the last update. And the last update actually did really well. And mostly because probably of the fact I've been doing less updates. Going into the new year, I do want to do more regular updates on the channel, but we'll kind of see how things go. I might try to shoot for once a month. But long story short, guys, we've just been really busy with work and different things. Everything's been going pretty awesome. I can't complain. It's just different priorities going on. And I did take a bit of a break from social media and different things like that. I kind of don't use that kind of stuff as much. But everything's been going good, just the same as usual. So we'll do the update really quick here. We'll start off with my portfolio. I'll show you guys my Wealthsimple trade accounts. If you guys are new to the channel, this is basically the way it works, is to give you guys an update on the portfolio. I show you guys the markets. We go over our different accounts. I show you guys my stocks. We'll go over the returns and different things. And then towards the end of the video, we do some finances and different things, as we're also like a financing and budgeting channel. This channel is mostly just a kind of like a blog of me, my partner, and all of our stuff we do, how we've kind of got to where we were, how we saved our money, how we invested, and basically is showing the results for everybody to see up here. So this is our Wealthsimple account. This is mine actually. We'll cover my accounts first. I think the last update I did was in November, so the markets have changed quite a bit. So we'll do a quick little recap here. Here's the overall account. Here's everything on Wealthsimple just put together. So we have a total of $187,000, just shy of 200K in my own personal accounts. All time, we are up $73,000, $74,000. Pretty crazy dollar amount, I know. It's we've been saving money for quite a while, and it's just been the same old. And over time, it's just been building up and growing and growing. It's actually pretty crazy, but time flies, you know. It wasn't too long ago when I first started doing these updates, but you can see things have just been growing, and that's just my accounts. That's not even our totals. So 1 month return for the accounts is up about $5,000. That's 2.7%. So the last month has been a little bit up and down depending on what markets you guys are investing into. Speaking of which, at this point in time of the video, if you guys do want to see my stocks, you guys want to see everything, I will cover stuff later on throughout the video. But if you guys want to see them side by side, there is a link to Blossom Social in the description of this video. It's a cool app. You guys can look me up in there, and all my stuff's on there. I also relinked my account because it did disconnect, so I had to relink it. So my trade should be synced up as well on there. So I do apologize for that. But 1 month return up about 2.7%. Last 3 months we're up about 5%, which is about just shy of $9,000. 6 month return is about 11%. So markets have gone up quite a bit, and you'll see we did put a lot of money into our accounts over the past couple months or so. I'll kind of explain what we did. We took some money out, we put some money back in, just optimizing some of the tax accounts like the TFSA and the RRSP and the first home savings account, which again we'll talk about later on in the video. So yes, last 6 months up about 11.46%. That's $19,000, so doing pretty good there as well. 1 year return, or year over year, I should say, is about 25% growth. So last year was an amazing year in the markets, both for mostly American-based stocks, but Canadian stocks as well. They did pretty good. And then, of course, because we invest in VFE, we also got a bit of a boost from the Canadian dollar going down as well. So that gave us a nice little bump up in our return too. So up $37,000 in 1 year, which is pretty nuts. Again, you guys can see, just if you guys have been watching this channel for a long time, when I first started, it was just like, a little bit of return here and there, but to think like in 1 year we made $37,000. Granted, it was a really good year in the markets, but still, it's actually absolutely crazy, especially when most of that money is in TFSAs and all that kind of stuff. So it's pretty nuts. And then all time, like we mentioned earlier, about 65% return, and that's just with my accounts in Wealthsimple. And in case you guys don't know, if you guys are new to the channel, I started investing in the kind of beginning of 2019 is when I started, Didn't really get serious though until I would say about maybe mid 2019, and then 2020 is when I started my accounts on here, my self-directed investing journey, and that's where I really got into it and things. And that's when I started doing these updates on this channel. So if you go all the way back from when I first started, there's a lot of videos, so you guys don't have to watch them all because there's a lot. But just watch the more recent ones. I pretty much do the same videos every time, so you guys aren't missing too much. Let's take a quick peek at the TFSA, since this is the biggest account that I currently have. So this TFSA account is mostly focused on American stocks. We're focused very much on growth inside our portfolios. We have Canadian stocks or American stocks or growth-based stocks with a little bit of dividends. And then you have our Canadian companies that are more dividend focused. That's kind of just naturally the way Canadian stocks work. But we do like growth investing with dividend investing, and we do have some income in there as well. So we very much have a hybrid, well, I like to call it hybrid portfolio, which is much more modern, but you are starting to see them kind of pop up a little bit. But still, fundamentally, we're very much focused on growth with a little bit of dividends in there as well. That's kind of the main focus, if I'm going to be 100% honest. So here's the TFSA. We got a total of $167,000. And again, if you guys don't know, I understand there's probably going to be a lot of new people watching these videos because it's the start of the new year. Seems to be in January. Everybody's kind of, want to get their finances in check. They want to do all the things, start the year off fresh and kind of do things right. And that's always awesome. So I understand there's going to probably be a lot of new people watching this, so I'll try my best to kind of dumb this stuff down. But the TFSA is a tax-free savings account. You guys can put in a certain amount every single year. We maxed ours out as soon as the year started. We got $7,000. That's the contribution limit for this year. So we threw that in there. I maxed mine out. My fiance, her account is not maxed out yet. She's got a good chunk in there, so that's our focus for this year. But we maxed mine out right away. That was part of the reason why we moved some money around. So $167,000, all-time growth, 54%. So about 60K roughly, and tax-free income. So it's done pretty well. And this account is our flexible account. And again, we'll talk about this as we go through the video. The TFSA is a very nice account to kind of just move money around when you want to and not have to worry about tax implications. So here's the stocks here. Once again, you guys can check all this stuff out on Blossom, all the stocks inside my portfolios. But here's just the two big ones, VDY and VFV. So big chunk there. We also have some earnings from the stock lending program on Wealthsimple trade, but we honestly make pennies off that. I don't even know why I have it, but it's just there, I guess. And then if you guys go on the bottom here, I don't know if you guys can see this. My webcam is probably blocking this, but Wealthsimple trade tracks your TFSA deposits now, which is a super cool feature. I don't think it works for the RSP and the first home savings account, but it might. But now, at least on the desktop version, if you log into your account, you can actually see your contributions from the current year, which is super helpful because it's very nice that they track that. And if you guys are wondering, due to tax season coming up, you can access all your documents in Wealthsimple. Super nice platform for getting all that stuff. It's super handy. Going down here, we have the first home savings account. We maxed both of ours out last year, so we'll be claiming this on our taxes for this year to get a nice little boost. But this account is up 11%, just been steadily growing, and that's mostly just from putting money into a few growth stocks, but mostly the S&P 500. With we have Dollarama and Couche-Tard, some Canadian growth companies. But one thing I'm going to be doing going into this new year is I'm going to be trimming off some stocks I don't really care about anymore, and I'm going to be I'm going to be trimming things down. I think it's a common thing that happened to investors. Like my portfolio is already pretty conservative to begin with, but you do see that as people invest more and more, they tend to trim their things. They tend to make things simpler, especially once you get a good handle on things. And that's kind of what we're going to be doing is we're going to be trimming some of our individual stocks and just focusing mostly on ETFs again. Because it's just the easiest way to do things. But I do want to set up some allocations this year and move some things around a little bit. Once again, we'll talk about that in a future video if I do anything major. But more or less, we're going to keep things the same. But we might get rid of some of our random stocks we have here and some of these other accounts that I just don't need to have. Like I don't need to have all these different ones in certain accounts, right? It just kind of depends. But this is the RRSP. So this is one we've been working on last year as well. Again, just steadily growing from the deposits from last year. And then I put a big chunk in for January of this year. I put about, I think it was $500. So I'm going to claim that on my taxes with the first home savings account, just to put our tax bill down a little bit. And then once again, something I didn't mention in the TFSA is we did take some money out. So I took about, what happened was we were planning to buy a vehicle, which again we'll talk about in this video, and we did buy a vehicle, which is a big purchase we made, and we'll talk about later on in this video. But we took some money out to pay for a vehicle, and then the leftover money, we basically took it out before the end of 2024, so then we could recontribute it into our TFSA at the start of 2025. So that worked out really well, and once again, it's another reason why the TFSA account is so handy, because you can just take money out whenever you want it, don't have to pay taxes. It's super cool like that. Just remember that you have to wait till the next year to contribute it. So if you're going to take money out for 2025, best time would have done it at the end of 2024, and that's kind of what we did. We optimized that and did it right at the end of the year. But that's the Wealthsimple accounts. So that's going to be the first little bit here. We're going to jump aside Wealthica, and I'll give you guys a bird's eye view of all of our accounts here that we have. All right, guys, so the next tool we're going to use is Passive to basically get a bird's eye view of all of our accounts. Now, unfortunately, I didn't realize this, but before doing this video, it disconnected my fiance's account. This happens all the time. I don't know why it happens with Passive, but particularly happens with Passive a lot, is sometimes you have to reconnect your accounts. And I don't have her information with me before doing this video, so we'll have to hook it up later when she gets home tonight. But basically, unfortunately, her accounts aren't listed in here, so for this part of the video, you're just going to see my accounts, unfortunately. So just keep in mind, there's a little bit of money that's not accounted for. If we head on over to Wealthica, which we'll talk about in just a second here, this is going to give us all of our accounts linked together. So that's the actual total amount we have there, if we include everything. But for now, we'll just kind of do some basic recording here. So you guys can see all of our different accounts here. Once again, my partner's stuff is not included in here because we have to link everything. But I'm going to go down to the reporting tab and just show you guys some of the results that we've had over the last little while here. So you can see a big jump in our portfolio, particularly going towards the end of the year. Lots of big jumps, some big deposits here. Now keep in mind, we moved some money around, so it might not show all the withdrawals and some of the deposits correctly. Sometimes it kind of screws it up, especially if you take it from an account that's not currently hooked up. So some of these numbers aren't going to be 100% accurate, so just kind of keep that in mind, guys. But you can see our accounts have grown. The big thing we'll look at is the dividends. So in 2024, total dividends from again, this is just going to be my accounts. We had $4,899. If I remember correctly, with my fiance stuff in there, is about $6,000. But you can see a steady increase in the dividends. Just been pretty consistently growing as we put more and more money in. Things have been growing at a pretty steady rate. We can also scroll down here and see the different accounts here, the different tickers. I don't know if you guys can see that, but basically it's just showing you guys different tickers. We'll talk about that once again as we go through. And if you guys can't see the total dividend income, that's about $13,000. Once again, I think with everything included, last time I checked, it was about $16,000 or so, give or take. So just a quick little update there. Sorry about the linking not showing everything for you guys. We'll have to fix that next time we do a video. But yeah, you guys can just see the growth there. So this is the actual total amount of all of our accounts. And the cool thing about Wealthica is they seem to always have it synced up perfectly for the most part. And it takes all the accounts together and it averages out. So this is all my TFSA, my RSP, my first home savings account, my partner's TFSA, her first home savings account. She doesn't have currently doesn't have an RSP, but it links everything together and give you averages and across everything. So it's a super cool tool, and you can select different accounts here. You go to the top here, you can select your different accounts. So I just have our two Wealthsimple accounts connected here. So you have $243,000 in our accounts. I don't remember what we had last time I did a video, but you guys can see there's been quite a bit of growth here from a number of reasons. So the first reason is markets have done really well. We've seen tons of growth going towards the markets. Second reason why is we put a big chunk of money in at the end of the year. We deposited a bunch of money inside of our first home savings accounts. I was putting money in throughout the year, and then towards the end of the year, my partner, we figured that we might as well max out her first home savings account too, so we can get our money for a house growing, and she also gets a tax credit. So we did that as well. We moved some money into there, and then I put some money in my TFSA. So that was about $8,000 for a first home savings account, and then about $7,000 for a TFSA. And that was money in our savings that we had. So this money you're seeing here is just our investments. But once again, guys, we huge growth last year in the markets. It was a really good year for us, and that's what really contributed to a lot of the growth. And I'll just hammer this down over and over and over again. The more you can save up and get things ready and keep your accounts growing, so that when you do have a good year in the market, that's when you really start to see big growth. Because if you can save up like 50K, markets go up 20%, you're going to make more than somebody who has 20. If you can save up 100K, markets go up 20% or something like that, you have a good year, right? You're going to make more than somebody who has less. If you save up like $200,000, well, it starts to get quite a bit. Like, I think I made more money from my investments last year than I made from my job, like after taxes, if you include like the TFSA and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty crazy. Like, but that's what happens. And then you take the two together, and and it just helps out so much. So I'll stop rambling there. But we'll go down here, and you guys can see the different stocks and all that. Our biggest holding by far is going to be S&P 500. That's about $100,000 alone into that account, and this stock has done pretty well. 44% growth. We love the S&P 500. We love American stocks. Historically, it's done really well, and we buy it through VFE just because it's easy with the currencies and stuff like that. So that's how we do that. Our next biggest holding is VDY. This is the Vanguard FTSE Canadian High Dividend Yield Fund. This just has a lot of your typical Canadian stocks, dividend stocks. Pretty solid fund overall. It's performed quite well, actually. We have about $50,000 or so. We'll round that up to 50, and our income is 36% return. Not bad, considering that the Canadian markets have not been as good as the American markets. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this year. I'm not too sure what's going to happen this year, if I'm being honest. People always predict things, but in my experience is nobody really knows. Let's put it that way. Nobody knows for sure, and people forget that. They seem to forget that very quickly. But on the right side here, we have the growth of the stock, I should say, and then the left side is the dividends plus the growth here. So 22% growth from VDY, but then the yield on there, and you get a nice juicy 36% return. Our third biggest holding is HYLD and HDIV. These are a covered call ETFs. HYLD is American based, HDIV is Canadian based. We stuck these in here just to get some little bit of extra income. And now with our expenses going up, as we'll talk about as we go further through the video, with owning a car and stuff like that, having a little more passive income, it kind of helps. Even though we usually don't touch it, it's just nice to have there. And again, we're going to cover all that stuff. So there's going to be lots of stuff in today's video. It's going to be a bit of a long one, but 36% return. So this stock has recovered quite well last year. And again, those distributions make a huge, significant part of that. 11% for growth and 36% for dividends. So it's a big dividend company. And we bought it when it was down, and it recovered and has done quite well. Same with HDIV, more or less just Canadian based. And then FTN, our financial split court fund, controversial funds. We bought it for a little bit extra yield. We don't have a lot of investments in it. We just bought it when the markets dipped, and then we've seen a 14% return from growth, and then 30% from the dividends. So seems to be, with the covered call funds, the split court funds, buy them when the markets dip, and then when they go back up, you get the growth plus the yield. That seems to be the way to do them, and that seems to work out well for us. I mean, you kind of do that with all stocks, but specifically for them, they seem to work out really well like that. Couche-Tard, TD, CNR, Dollarama, TELUS, C&Q. These are pretty small holdings. I might trim, I might get rid of C&Q, might get rid of TELUS. TELUS has just been not doing very well overall. I'm not too sure what's going to happen with them going into this year. You think they're going to probably do better with interest rates getting better and all that kind of stuff, but who knows? But again, one of the big things I want to do is clean up some of these individual stocks and just keep a couple. And I also I should mention here, I also sold my company that I work for. I work for Loblaws, so I sold my stock for them too. And part of that was to move that money inside my TFSA. So that's no longer listed on here, but that was about $5,000 or so. So that's a quick little overview of all of our stocks. And once again, if you guys want to go through and see this and see my updates and my buys in real time, check out Blossom Social. It's a free app you guys can download in the description of today's video. Talking to the financial part, and we talk about all the different things we're going to be covering in today's video for that. I just want to do a quick little update on the distributions and dividends so far for January. It is January 18th at the time of recording this video. You guys are probably going to see it maybe tomorrow or sometime next week. So here we're going to go to the right side. If you go to Wealthsimple Trade on the desktop version here and you click on activity, you can scroll down here and go to dividends, and you can see your distributions and stuff like that. And I love dividend stocks, as you guys know. It is a focus on this channel. Even though we're mostly focused on growth, we do like dividends. Dividends are a big part of investing, especially when you're getting started, to keep you going, like getting that money deposited into your account on a regular basis, usually on a monthly basis. It feels pretty good psychologically, it keeps you going. And again, you can use that money for things. And as our expenses have gone up and the cost of living has gone up, there is value in having dividends and just having money available if you guys need it for things and stuff like that. So anyways, going down here, we'll scroll down to the bottom. A couple dividends here. January 2nd, we got a dividend from TELUS. TELUS again. And then this is I have a managed account with like $100 in it. I was going to do a video on it. I still need to fix that account, but we had a couple cents in dividends here. So you guys can just ignore these ones. We'll just skip through that. And January 3rd, we have C&Q again, giving us some dividends. And then our big ETFs, VFE giving us $229, VFE again, $20. These are just the different accounts. You can see the ticker, the dividend, and then the account type here, right? So if you see two from the same stock, it's because one's in my TFSA, one's in the First Home Savings Account, and then the RRSP. So just in case you guys are new and you guys don't know that. VDY again, another big dividend here, and then HYLD and HDIV giving us some dividends inside our TFSA, and then FTN as well. So I didn't add them up for this month, but I think it was around $700 or so in total, something like that, if I do the math really quickly. So give or take $700-800, I think. So it's going to be a pretty good month in dividends. But once again, guys, when I do the next video, we'll have it all hooked up so you guys can see it and we can track that a little bit better. All right, guys, so we're going to talk about some financial and some different things like that, some personal finance stuff. So if you guys follow the channel for a long time, you know that one of the big things I found very helpful when I first started investing was to put your money into stocks, keep at it. But investing is a long-term game, and it can be kind of hard in the beginning to stay focused and keep going with it. So one of the things we did, if you guys watch the older videos, is we would put money into our account, and then every single month, we would pretend to use our dividends for different things. So like if we first started investing in the first month, we made $10 or $5 off our dividends, because it's going to be small, right? Your first month, you might not even make $1, depending on what you're investing into and what you're putting into. But once that money can start to grow, you can start to kind of imagine as if you're using it to pay for different things, right? Like if we made $700 or $800 this month, theoretically from our dividends, now we're going to take that money, we're going to reinvest it, it's going to compound and grow. But let's say, eventually we want to use our dividends and our distributions to help fund our lifestyle and different things, because that's the whole point of investing your money, right? So we could start to use it to kind of pay for some expenses or something like that. And that's a very realistic thing you can do. Now, some people wait till they get older to do that. You can do it when you're younger. We kind of pretend to do it. We don't really like actually spend that money, but we pretend, because at some point in time, we do want to use our dividends. Our goal is to live off our dividends, or to at least help them make our lives easier so that we can kind of pursue things we want. So if you want to work, we can work jobs we want. We can do the things in life we want to do, where we don't have to use the excuse of like, well, we have to work, right? So we can't do this or that. So of course, life is obviously a balance of everything, but it does help you kind of keep you motivated to see like, hey, if you made $10 and you go to the store, or you go to a coffee shop, or you do whatever it is, buy yourself a new video game and then just play it, or whatever it is you guys like to do. Or like to help pay for some gas or something like that, or buy some groceries. It helps you keep going, because you can start to see the value of that. So you guys can do it however you want to do it, but this is something that we started to do. And one of the things here, you'll see the sheet here, I kind of reset it for this year, but we basically made a list of some basic expenses that we pay for on a regular basis. So this isn't everything, at least I don't think it is, but it's a few things. And basically what we did is every single month we're adding more and more and more things to it. And I think this is a cool way to kind of, number one, it teaches you how to be frugal. And being frugal and budgeting your money is super important for investing and saving. It's actually one of the big things that nobody talks about. People always talk about, what stock do I buy? Blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. But people don't focus on the number one important thing, which is the money you save up. The more money you save, the better you can get with saving, at least in the beginning. And the quicker you can grow that money, the better things are going to be, right? Like, and the more exponentially things are going to grow. And that's what we did. You can see, like, very quickly, we really went hardcore and saved up as much money. And having a budget sheet like this can help you track things and help you, and you start off slow and stuff like that. So here's the different things that we have. So last year we've been doing some different budgets. We had a movie budget, we had a coffee budget, we had a groceries budget, we had CDs, and these budgets weren't like set in stone. Like when our grocery budget $40, obviously we spend more than $40 a month. But what we would do is we would go to the store once a month and we would buy $25 worth of movies. So we'd go to like the thrift store or something, or we'd order them online, because you can get cheap movies from like Amazon, and we would buy movies for the month. So we'd buy $25 worth of movies, and here's the movies that we bought for this month. So we'd go to the store, we'd buy movies, and we'd build a collection, and once a week we would watch a movie. So little ways of, entertaining ourselves, doing new things. For the coffee and tea budget, we slowly grow this. The numbers and brackets here were like the first month, then the second month, a third month and stuff like that, and we settle that wherever we want to be. So we settled that $25 for movies. I think is pretty solid. We have a huge backlog of movies we have to watch, so we don't need to buy a lot. Especially if you go to a thrift store, you can buy them for like $2-3 a piece, and you can just get tons of stuff there. Very underrated way to buy things. But anyways, coffee tea budget, we spend about $20 a month between the two of us. I don't drink as much coffee as I used to, and I drink more tea now, and tea is a lot cheaper. So $20 is fine for us, especially if you buy it cheap, buy it on sale. That's a big one. If you can buy coffee on sale, it makes a big difference. Groceries, we would take $40, and we went to the store, and we take specifically $40, and we try to buy the cheapest stuff, try to make it go as far as it can to, again, kind of think of like, hey, our dividends for this month, we got $40, and we try to keep this under our monthly dividends. So CDs, same thing. We'd buy a CD once a month, pop it in our thrift store shopping budget. We might change this, and then we have some other new ones here. So like Netflix account, I think we pay $6 or $7 a month for Netflix, so we're going to add that in there. We pay for the ads. I know the ads are annoying, but I think the difference between like the monthly subscription with ads and without ads is like, I think without ads you're paying like $15-20. So again, like, you guys can pick and choose. Obviously you don't have to be cheap like we are, but it adds up, right? Like, if you can cut things back here and there, it makes a big significant difference at the end of, like, your bottom line at the end of the month, right? What you take home and the free cash you have to play with. So big thing for us, because we bought a new vehicle. We'll talk about a vehicle we bought here, because this has been an exciting time for me and us personally. So if you guys have been watching my channel, you might know that we haven't had a vehicle. So when I was younger, I never really learned to drive. I never had the money, never had the cash to do it, and I just kind of put it off for many years. And you kind of got used to walking and driving. And then last year, towards the beginning of last year, I got a full-time job. So before then, I was working part-time doing the YouTube thing. I've kind of adjusted things to I work full-time, still do the YouTube thing, but I just don't do videos as much as I used to. But one of the big things I noticed when working a full-time job is it sucks to have to walk to work every single day. And one of the big benefits we got for not having a vehicle for so long was that we didn't have to pay for one. So like, we didn't have to pay for gas, didn't have to pay for the car payment, didn't have to pay for insurance. And you save a lot of money when you don't have to pay for those things, but it's tough. It is tough, especially if you have to work full time. So one of the big things we wanted to treat ourselves, it was a vehicle, because I learned to drive later in life, and that was a hard thing for me to do. Learning things later in life is much more difficult than when you're younger. But the cool thing is, it's never too late to learn new things, and it's always exciting. Like, it really it's like the adventure of life is learning and trying new things. So even though I learned to drive a little bit later in life, and I'm still learning right now, I still have a lot to learn. It's been fun and exciting, and it's made a big difference in our life. But of course, the big thing is we have to pay for gas, insurance, and all that stuff. So we ended up buying a used vehicle. Markets were really hard right now. As anybody who knows, vehicles are expensive. We were hummed and hawed between buying a new vehicle, buying a used vehicle, because prices are pretty similar if you look at it. But we ended up going with, we kind of been watching over the past couple months. So I started watching in November, and then we kind of seen things have started to drop a little bit. So we were eyeballing a car that was at one of the dealerships here in town, and it was a Honda Accord. And I did my research. I spent basically like 2 months like hardcore researching, trying to find out what the best cars are for reliability, maintenance, all those different things. And I found a Honda Accord that I liked. Unfortunately, though, the price was expensive. And reliable vehicles are expensive too. Like, they price that in. So we looked at, like, everybody talks about Corolla, Toyota Corolla, and all those different cars that are really good quality, but they're like super expensive to buy right now. You're almost paying more for a used one than when they were brand new. So we settled for a Honda Accord. We kind of watched it, and we saw the price of the vehicle drop about $1,500 over the course of about 2 months. So we went to dealership. My partner's dad happened to know the owner, so we talked to them. We got $1,000 off the vehicle. We got some new tires, and they set up an amazing deal for us, and we're very thankful for that. So we ended up getting the vehicle for $15,000. So again, here's the car here. As you guys can see here, I'll show you guys a nice little video of it. It's a 2015 Honda Accord Touring. It's my first car. We paid $15,000 for it. A little bit more than what I'd like to, but the car's in pretty awesome condition. It was going off there, but the car's in amazing condition for a 10-year-old vehicle. The owner took really good care of it. We can see at least the car looks really good. Now again, we'll have to see how it drives, but it's got low mileage. So hoping this bad boy will last us for a long time, and really pumped. It's a really nice car. I'm super excited. It's very nice to drive, but of course, like I mentioned, we have to pay for insurance and gas and things, so we're trying to budget and kind of watch our money, because one big thing we've noticed by having a vehicle is it's a lot easier to spend money when you can go places. This was a big psychological difference for me from when I didn't have a vehicle. Everything, you got to walk there, and especially in the middle of winter, it's like, we'll just go another day, and you might not go, right? And if you don't go somewhere, you don't spend money. One of the big differences I noticed by having a vehicle is it's so much easier to go out and do things. And when you're going out and doing things, you just spend more money. That was a big one I noticed. Even though we only had the car for about a week and a half now, 2 weeks now, that was a big one for me. So it's going to be harder for us to save money, because people want to ask you to go out, or your friends want to ask you to go out, or family wants to ask you to go out, or you want to go to the store. You do more trips, you do more stuff, you spend more money, and you got to be careful with that. So that's going to be something we're going to have to work on. But I did notice that 100%. That's going to be a challenge for sure. But we did pay off the car in cash. We took money out of the TFSA a little bit, and we paid for it there. So again, having money, such a big benefit when you have the cash to do so. You can spend a little bit more to get something good quality, and that's kind of what we went. We could have bought a vehicle that was like, we seen some that were cheaper for like 10 grand, but they're not the best vehicles, high mileage on them. Could you maybe come out on top if yeah, maybe, but at the end of the day, we want something that's good and it's going to be not cause a headache for us. So we went with the vehicle. For all you car guys, let us know what you think in the comments of this video. I'd like to know that, as I've been doing a lot of research on this stuff. The other big benefit of having money is learning how to drive. I did a lot of lessons. I got my license, my G2. Actually, I got my G1 when I was 31 years old, so definitely late to the party. Then I got my G2 last year in October, and I did driver's ed. Highly recommend it for everybody who's learning how to drive. It was super big help for me, because I didn't have anybody to teach me, and then I did an extra 10 lessons. So having the money set aside and building it up sets you up in life to kind of do things in a very good way. Because if you don't save the money and you got to do this stuff, you might not take driver's ed because it's too expensive. You might not do extra lessons, and then you go to do your test and you're stressed out. And the benefit of having money is that you guys can set yourself up so that you can do what you need to do. I had to do the extra lessons. I felt so much better going to do my test by doing the extra lessons. Same with buying the car. I had the money saved up, so if we wanted to buy a slightly more expensive vehicle, a better quality one, we could do it. We didn't have to buy the cheapest thing and stress about it, because we have money saved up. So again, if you guys can save up the money, you guys can get going. It makes a big difference. But here's the other expenses. So we're going to start including some of these other things on here as we go through this year. Gas is another big one. We don't know how much we're going to pay for gas. We got to kind of test this out, as we haven't had a car for a month yet. But that's another big thing. Getting a new vehicle, I kind of want to drive everywhere. So that's something we're going to have to control and stuff like that. But yeah, so gas, our pet expenses, our internet, our phone bills, and some other budgets here. One of the big things I'm going to do is sit down and kind of make a budget, but this is everything I could think of off the top of my head that we kind of pay for, that we have to pay for. Fundamental things that you kind of have to live with. Anything else is just extras. So yeah, that's a quick little update there, guys. I know this isn't as polished as I usually do it, but I just wanted to show you guys some things and some different things that's been going on in my life. So hope you guys appreciate that. But yeah, any thoughts on any of this stuff, let me know what you guys can let me know what you guys think in the comments of today's video. I think that's everything I'm going to cover in today's video. So like I said, guys, got any questions, let me know. I'll try to answer them in the next video. But take care. Have yourself a good one, and I'll see you guys later.